All right, good afternoon, guys. Sorry that this is coming out so late. This is like the fourth time I've tried to record. The internet's just been going in and out all day long. So hopefully this one does not cut out on me. But anyway, whew, man, what a day yesterday. Oh boy, the Dolphins were not the better team, that's for sure. We're gonna have a great weekend. I know I am. I'm in a great mood. Things are gonna go. I'm very positive. So I just want to recap exactly how crappy the Dolphins were, so then we can speak the Orioles winning into existence and a positive weekend. But yeah, Tua getting the concussions, the headline, and obviously really sad for him. But the reality, the truth is, they weren't the better team before he got hurt. They looked like they weren't the better coach team. Just two bad interceptions. Timing wasn't there, and can't turn the ball over. So tough situation for the Dolphins. Yeah, really, not much else to say. You're just on the wrong side of it. The first interception didn't feel like it was to his fault, but there's just miscommunication, and yeah. So Buffalo spanks them 31-10, and that's that. All right, let's see. Ravens Raiders. I want to do that first. I'll have all my picks out on Sunday. I do really like this board. I'm feeling good. Yeah, so that was the last negative comment here about football. Let's just move forward. Let's do Ravens Raiders. I don't feel like this game is extremely complicated because Antonio Pierce, the coach of the Raiders, is probably the worst coach in the NFL. What he did last week, if you didn't see it, was just malpractice as a coach. It's 4th and 1. Chargers are winning 16-10, 7.5 minutes left. The ball's on the Chargers 43-yard lines, 4th and 1, and they punt the ball. Like, you can't punt the ball there, especially when you want to be a run smash mouth team. They punt the ball, and J.K. Dobbins proceeds to get a long run, sets up a touchdown for the Chargers. That's the end of that. So Chargers win by double digits, 22-10. But if you watch the game, the Raiders were there the entire time. Like, the Raiders had 3 turnovers. Um, the Chargers did not get explosive plays against them. The Raiders were right there the entire time. They stuffed the run for the most part, except the 2 long runs for the Chargers. Just they had a chance to win, and then he took the ball out of his team's hands. I don't know if they're going to go down and score, but they're at the 43. You got to at least give them a shot. So I say that to say that the game plan for the Raiders, I think, is going to be obvious all season until they fire this coach, which is just running the ball, very conservative, and trying to let his defense win the game. That's going to fit right into what the Ravens want to do. It's hard for me to see how the Raiders are going to move the ball in offense. They they just look really pedestrian against the Chargers, and the Chargers have a good defense, but the Ravens have a better defense. We're going to be able to generate some pressure, I believe, if the Raiders are going to just pound the ball up the middle and run the ball on the outside. Unless the Ravens are going to stop the run at home when they're home opener, I find that hard to believe. So feels like one of those games where it's as simple as Lamar's got to protect the ball because the strength of the Raiders, what they do best, is going to be on the defensive line. They're going to try to get their hands on a lot of balls. They're going to disrupt, the interior of our offensive line, which has some weaknesses. They're going to blitz. They're gonna pick their spots and be able to do some things to confuse Lamar. We just got to wait it out. We don't have to score 31 points to win the game. It might be a game that we win 19-6, 19-9, something like that. So don't let the Raiders force the turnovers. Don't let them feel good about themselves and have the momentum. I think it's an easy win for the Ravens as long as they're, committed to, like Harbaugh said, he didn't bring Henry here to run the ball 30 times. Well, how about 28 times? Like 27 times? Like, let's feed him the ball. Ricard can have a couple carries. Hill should have some more carries. The biggest criticism from the Ravens from last week is if Justin Hill's on the field, it was obvious they're throwing the ball. And Monken's got to be a little bit more unpredictable. You have Lamar Jackson. It's so easy to keep the team off balance. I expect the play calling to be a little bit better, a little bit more evolved. And then, yeah, one of the few things I got right from last week was Isaiah Likely might be our best player on offense. The ball went to Flowers a lot. but it also went to Likely a lot. Those are the two guys that are gonna, we'll see what happens with Andrews as he kind of gets back to himself. But the defenses tend to focus more on him. Maybe that Likely and Flowers got so many targets that frees him up a little bit. The Raiders secondary, especially the safeties, they don't really match up too great. The Ravens should be able to hit the open field, the middle of the field. It's what Lamar does best. This feels like I said. I would be surprised if the Raiders are competitive here. It's a short week. They bad vibes because of what happened last week with them, how they lost, and the Ravens. Yeah, it's unfortunate the way we lost, but yeah, yeah. And as long as they don't turn the ball over, that's probably gonna be the case for most of the games for the Ravens, but especially this one. They don't have to jump on them early. It's okay if the Raiders score 3 points first. It's okay if it's even close at halftime. Just wait it out, and that's what the Chargers did, and it turned out to be fruitful for them. So I expect the Ravens to win. All bets would lean towards under on the Raiders total points. So, all right, let's see. I want to do all NFL on Sunday morning. I'm going to do a podcast Sunday morning. Jack and I are going to do college football. That'll come out tomorrow. I want to spend a few minutes here on the Orioles. All positive though, like the negative aspects of the Orioles here. Let's see this for a second. The negative aspects for the Orioles at this point are redundant. There's 15 games left. Kramer kind of let out some frustration the other day when he was like, it's not my job to decide who plays. That's kind of on the higher ups. That's probably, how a lot of people have been feeling all season, whether you're a fan or a player. Some of the personnel decisions have been a little confusing, a lot of overthinking when it comes to righties and lefties, and it's left the vibes just off. And that all is culminated now in being 2 games behind the Yankees, 15 games left, but it's all over with at this point, meaning every game's a playoff game. Maybe that's what they needed. Maybe they needed the off day yesterday, the final last. Hey, this is the push towards the postseason. It's gonna be a great environment in Detroit tonight. This whole weekend, the Tigers, they're in the playoff race. They really are. They're only 3.5 games out. There's 15 games left. Gut wrenching. Talk about a gut wrenching loss for the Tigers yesterday. They had Scooble pitching at home against the Rockies, and they still lost. Gave up 2 runs in the ninth inning. They would have been 2.5 games out as the Twins were idle. They're now 3.5 games out. They have to win 12 out of their 15 games. So they're going to play this game. They're going to treat this series like it's the playoffs, and the Orioles better do the same because making the wild card is going to be too deflating. Other teams are going to have some momentum. They have to win this division. They just have to. If they want to win the World Series, they got to win this division. They got to get the momentum going. They get the best pitcher they can possibly have for tonight is Eflin. It's a huge ballpark in Detroit. He throws a lot of strikes, the most strikes out of anybody in the whole league, especially on our team. I think it's in the whole league. He's not going to walk guys. The Tigers are going to be, I think, over anxious tonight. We should be able to win this game 4-1, 5-0, 3-2, something. I hope not to stress out here at the end. But this feels like, yeah, we don't need a ton of runs. The Tigers are still unsure as I'm recording who's pitching. Tried to record 4 different. I mean, it's been a ridiculous day. But yeah, the Tigers still don't know who's starting for them. The Orioles have to win. The positive thing for me going into this series and why I really do think it's not just the fan of me. I think we're going to win this division and we're going to go on a run here is because they always seem to do better once you really are like, all right, now let's count them out. Like now let's just kind of be done with it. I think the back-to-back losses, these back-to-back series losses, not being able to close these games out, not being able to get these big hits, all things pointing negative towards the Orioles. I have a good feeling that they're done feeling sorry for themselves, that at this point, I don't necessarily have the tangible evidence to point towards it, but I've seen a couple of sparks over the past couple of games where it feels like Gunner's getting his swing back. I really thought that was a big hit Adley had the other night. Not that I thought it was a big hit he had the other night. They just put it together. Being on the road this weekend, and it's probably better. Getting that hostile environment. I just have a good feeling about this weekend. So hopefully I'm right. Then they get to come home and they play the Giants and the Tigers again. Kind of weird. They haven't played the Tigers all season long. I don't know if this has ever happened before. So they haven't played Tigers all season long. Then they finish up with them 6 games, and then they get the Giants sandwich in there at home, which feels like 3 games they got to win. Then they get the Yankees, then they get the Twins, and the Twins. That's going to be a playoff series. So it is, yeah, it's crunch time. We shall see. Eflin tonight, Burns tomorrow, podcast Sunday morning. Appreciate anybody and everybody that listened. Got a good amount of feedback yesterday on the podcast, so I appreciate that. And yeah, looking forward to this weekend. I know that as I rebrand the company, there's a lot of moving parts, but at the end of the day, my win-loss record says a lot, especially for people that just joined. I get it. Trust me. I get it. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be better. Don't think I've left anything out. I could beat this Ravens game to death. The more I looked at it, the more I'm like, the Raiders are going to beat themselves. Like, just let them do it. So I mean, I'm going to enjoy recapping the game on Monday, but I don't know how exciting it's going to be. I think the Ravens just keep it simple and they find a way to win. And looking forward to the Orioles this weekend. So if you have any questions or if you need me for anything, I'm here. Just shoot me a message. Again, sorry podcast came out so late. See you guys in the morning.